Okay, we are live on Spreaker right now.
Yay, I see live.
Our awesome low-def, lo-fi live preview.
You know it.
And now all of Twitter knows that we are live.
Yes.
And in just a minute, Facebook will too! We're all over the social medias. It's great.
Gotta love the social medias.
I really don't. Like, I forget who... Oh, yeah, one of my friends at work today was showing me... One of her friends just posted a picture of her being happy in a relationship for a change, and it got like 226 likes. Like, that was newsworthy. I'm like, I don't know what I could possibly advertise that would ever even get 226 people to look at it. Like, I understand the whole thing of social media is you have to actually, like, use it and talk to people and interact to have people care about what you say. And I don't.
Yeah. We finally got an official opening for Star Wars Land at Disney.
Oh, we did?
Well, official year, at least. Saying 2019. That kind of debunks the stuff people were talking about that they were hoping Disneyland's was going to be open before Episode 8 came out, because they were really hauling on that over there.
Yeah, that is not happening. But
no, not at all.
They should have known that. I mean, come on. It takes forever to build these things.
Yeah. But the initial plan was 2020, so it sounds like they're, a year ahead of schedule at least, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna have to head down and check that out. Or head out west and check that out. 2019, where does that fall into Celebration? Because next year is going to be overseas, right? Because it keeps going back and forth.
Yeah.
Right? So it's Orlando 2017, so it'll be overseas 2018.
Anaheim.
If it opens early 2019, that would be pretty crazy to head out to Anaheim and check out Star Wars Land.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I'd be down.
I mean, the amount of stuff that people do, though, to prep for these celebrations is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we can get into it on the air a little bit.
Here I am talking about, I'll drive down if we make it to the podcast stage.
Heck yeah.
I'll pack a duffel bag.
Or just, go in one.
One pair of jeans, one pair of boxers, a pair of socks, and 5 Star Wars t-shirts.
Right.
And a hat. Need a hat. Or hair care products. Because, the mohawk doesn't stand up on its own, or at all in the case that I'm at right now.
Well, yeah, you gotta make sure your look is fresh, man. We're gonna be in front of a crowd.
Yeah, right? I could wear my beautiful Nerfherder Council t-shirt, which could be yours.
Wow. A Nerfherder Council t-shirt.
Available in one color pattern.
It's friggin' great the way it is, and if people want one that's any different than that, then they're just gonna have to fork over the money for this one so we can afford another run of t-shirts.
You know what? It's got tags. It's got our logo. I mean, honestly.
This run of t-shirts cost me...
What else could you ask for?
Actually, I can bring that up on the air because I got a story about that from Beer Fest a couple weeks ago.
Sweet.
You ready to get this thing going?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got levels. We are looking good, so let's do it. All right, and welcome everybody back to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am AJ. With me is Steve.
Yes, I am.
And without us is JT.
It is just an empty chair of loneliness over there.
It is. It's kind of sad, but the vacancy could not be helped. He actually had 2 personal emergencies in 2 weeks that prevented him from getting to Echo Base to record the show. Last week, we have sad news to report. The aluminum Falcon, his beloved 2008 Mazda 6 with well over 200,000 miles on it. It didn't look like much, but she had it where it counts. Hit a curb on the ice in the glorious Cleveland winter. Moment of silence for the aluminum Falcon. All right. It's easy to have silence when there's like nobody else in the room to talk anyway. But anyway, and this week, after all that stuff went down, then he had the nerve to go and get sick. Who gets sick this time of year, Steve? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, really. Winter in Cleveland. I mean, honestly.
But it is the only thing that could possibly get JT to shut his mouth is by losing his voice.
Very true.
And that's hard to do, man. I've seen that dude play back-to-back-to-back shows over the course of a weekend, shouting over bar crowds and drinking his ass off, and still be able to yell louder than I can on my best day.
Very, very long time ago, remember the I wanted to say fog machine, and that's not it. The damn,
Laser machine?
No!
Light boxes.
No, you put the water in the vapor thing.
Oh, yeah,
that and the giant things of honey that he would chug from so he could do back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back shows.
Right, his vocal steamer. That thing was great.
Yeah.
I think the best part was when Mikey spiked it, though.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Well, you're only supposed to put water in it, but it will hold other liquids.
I'm sure that was a great show.
There might have been other things done to that device, too. I'm guessing that around that crowd, if it's something that they know he's going to put his mouth on, there might have been some other things. But, all right, that's a topic for a different show. We should probably get back onto Star Wars here.
Yeah.
So, what we figured we'd do tonight, I was actually thinking about this. You know, we brainstorm our show topics, and we try to, plot them out a little bit in advance. But usually what it comes down to is the week of the show, we kind of throw some texts around and just see what's on everybody's mind because we want to keep it fresh. And what we've kind of come across, and in listening to a few other shows that shall remain nameless so we can be professional about it, it seems like a couple of different shows are kind of scrabbling for ideas right now. I feel like we've really gotten spoiled by the pace of news releases in Star Wars. I mean, ever since Disney picked it up, there's just every week there's like something new to talk about.
Yeah.
And this whole time of year in general is kind of the doldrums, like the holidays are over, winter has set in, we're kind of waiting for spring, now the Super Bowl's over, which was amazing. Holy crap, was that a great game. Steve, did you stay up and watch that?
No, sir.
Oh.
I honestly did not watch the entire first half, got suckered into watching the halftime show, watched part of the third quarter, and walked away going, Atlanta's got this. And then I remembered about how, of anything, I'm the kind of person that sits around and talks about how professional sports are rigged. And then the Super Bowl happens, and I just wake up Monday morning and go, see? Like, honestly, do you see what the hell I'm talking about? Nobody cared about the damn Super Bowl this year. I mean, I know that's loose. But, like, everybody was complaining about all the blowouts during the playoffs and the off week for the Super Bowl. I go, watch, this thing's going to go to overtime, double overtime, something stupid, something heroic's going to happen, just to end the game that everybody's going to talk about it. And what the hell happens?
Right?
I'm like, wow, I didn't call that one or anything. How about the Golden State Warriors dropping 3-1 to the Cavs? How about the Indians dropping 3-1 to the Chicago Cubs of all teams? And how about we blow out everybody in the NFL and then go down to the wire for the Super Bowl? None of it's rigged.
No, not at all.
None of it.
They're not competing for their entertainment dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so now that the Super Bowl's over, the NBA regular season rolls on. There's no baseball. Sports in general is kind of in a lull right now. There's not a whole lot happening. And even in, like, popular entertainment, thank God Walking Dead is coming back this week.
Yeah, right.
So that's good. We got to look forward to. But, Rebels has been on hiatus for a little while. Rogue One, it's probably still in theaters, I would guess.
It is. I think it's kind of in cruise control right now. It's still making okay money.
Yeah.
It's just there, though. There's nothing's really come out to go head-to-head with it, really.
Yeah, it's the slow season.
Yeah, and it seems like this is the week everything's picking up. You got John Wick and the stupid 50 Shades movie coming out. The Lego Batman movie coming out.
Yeah.
That's the personal moneymaker for me.
Yeah, if we have any listeners in the UK, screw you for getting that first. We got to wait till next week for that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
First, what the heck?
And honestly,
They got the new Lego Star Wars sets too.
Yeah. I mean, God, we've gone off the rails like 4 times already in 2 minutes, but I hated the idea of the Lego Batman movie. And now the closer it's getting to coming out and the more trailers come out, I'm just sitting here and going, all right, it looks great. I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, I wasn't too on board with it either. It's different than what I thought it was, because I figured it would be more in the vein of the Lego movie, and it seems like it's more like a regular, legit Batman movie made in the Lego style.
Yeah.
I mean, the characters they're coming out with for that. Have you seen the collectible figures? They got like Eraser and Condiment King.
Yeah.
Like, I've never even heard of these villains before. I don't know where they're getting these from.
I think they're just making them up.
Right, they're ridiculous.
I'm hoping those guys kind of cross paths with Disney a little bit and make a Lego Star Wars movie out of the same thing. Like not like the TV series stuff, like, because that's kind of simple and super kid friendly and stuff. I want that little edge that it seems like that we know the Lego movie had, and that it looks like the Batman one's gonna have. I'd love to have those guys make a Lego Star Wars movie. Would be great,
dude. Especially after that cameo they had in the Lego movie. Oh, that was so good.
They're all dudes.
Dude, the fact that they even went so far as to get Billy D. Williams to do the voice of Lando. Oh man, yeah. So
they're all dudes, even the hairy one.
Speaking of Billy D., he's also in the Batman movie. That's the kind of attention to detail they paid. They're like, you know what, we're going to get Two-Face in here, and we're going to make him be voiced by Billy D. Williams, because Harvey Dent was played by Billy D. Williams in 1989. It was great. Yep. I love the attention to detail and stuff like that. It's so cool knowing that the people making these things are such super fans that they're taking advantage like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not a whole lot going on right now specifically, and even though we're not a news-based show, it usually at least like gets our creative juices flowing, you know, like gives us topic ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
So what I did instead was I was kind of looking at how rare it is that there's nothing coming out, especially considering how much we have to look forward to in the rest of the year. I mean, if you think about it, we can go, and we actually will go, sequentially through the year, and there is like, I don't think there's a month without something worth paying attention to, even if you're a casual fan. Like, I know JT, for example, he does not care about the books, does not care about the comics and all that, but there's at least some stories being told in there, or characters being featured that have at least some relevance that are worth knowing about, if not actually consuming. Like, even if you don't like the books, like we were talking about Catalyst, great lead into Rogue One. Like, that actually pairs up with Rogue One so well that it's like, it's almost like two halves of one story instead of supplemental material.
I almost half wish that I could get into the books and comics, but honestly, it's like, God, I need like 48 hours in a regular 24-hour day so I can try to get into all this stuff. There's not enough day in my life to constitute trying to get into all of it. I mean, you guys know it's hard enough as it is for me to catch up with Rebels. I mean, my DVR has been deleting part of the season because it's recorded so many more episodes that it's just knocking the bottom ones out, and now it's at the point that I just want to delete everything that's on there, because the first oldest one that I can watch, I'm already going to be confused because I'm already going to be behind the 8 ball, and it's just, screw it. You know, you're not going to start in the middle of the season and be okay with watching the end of it. So
yeah, especially with Rebels, it's so episodic. Like, you have to. It's a serialized format on purpose. So you jump in the middle. Well, okay. Spoiler alert: they eventually go to Scarif. There you go. I don't know how they get there. I don't know who's going to survive at that point, but Rebels are going to be at Scarif.
It's like, I mean, as much as I don't want to do it, I mean, you know, I've yet to make it through the entire series of Clone Wars, but after that crappy news 2 days ago that they're going to yank it off Netflix, I feel like I just need to jump to the last season and just watch like the last 2 or 3 episodes and just go, all right, at least I got it. Yeah.
at least they gave at least a month's notice, because there's what, over 100 episodes of that thing.
Yeah, I didn't see how long it was before they were going to pull it. I just heard they were going to pull it.
Yeah, I think it's March 7th, actually.
Gives me enough time to figure out, watch Ahsoka walk away, and
yeah,
I'll get a little bit at the end of the series there.
Yeah, I was reading an article about that, and this guy was really just wishful thinking, I guess, because thank you for publicizing that you're going to take it away, so we have time to watch it still.
Right.
Which, ironically, the Clone Wars movie that kicked it all off is not leaving. So I don't know why they're leaving the full-length deal on there and taking the series off, but whatever, that's licensing.
Yeah.
But this guy actually, at the end of his article summarizing the show leaving the Netflix queue, was lamenting the fact that it pretty much paints out all hope for any continuation of that series. And I just want to be like, dude, that show ended in 2012. We're 5 years removed from that. If they've already shown unfinished story reels, they've had panels at Celebration outlining plans for episodes that they never produced. There's been comic books made of scripts. There's been books written of unused scripts. There was never going to be a continuation of Clone Wars, man. They are so far beyond that show. They've taken all the characters and brought them into Rebels.
Yeah.
Who cares what happens to Rex after Clone Wars, now that you know that he ends up on that dust ball with the Walker, with Gregor and Wolf, and gets picked up by Kanan and everybody?
I'm sure there's a small handful of people that were diehard Rex fans that would probably like to know. Kind of like what we talked about with the Kenobi movie, where you get the end of episode 3, and then you see him as an old man in episode 4, and you go, I kind of want to know what's going on in between there. I'm sure there's a handful of Rex people that want to know how the hell he got to where he's at, but honestly, that's got to be such a minority, though, of people to go, where's the Rex story? Yeah, if anything, a Rex story would be getting explained in the hopes of Ahsoka being in it, most probably, because I was just reading on Twitter today that somebody tagged... I'm trying to tell a story and I forgot the name. God, you're going to have to... Alright.
Change the name to protect the innocent.
I'm just going to punt the actress. You just go. Hold on.
What's the character? I'll tell you.
Her.
Oh, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, somebody tagged her on Twitter and they were like, hey, put her in a real life Ahsoka Tano. And I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah, actually.
I'm like, and she replied to it, and she, like a fangirl, went, #Ahsoka lives, like, yes, I'll do it, I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love to see that, honest to God, dude, I love that character now. We talked about it a couple times, I liked her as Snips, but I really like her as where she's at Rebels. I love that half Jedi, half Sith, I don't give a crap kind of thing she's got going on right now. I really like that character, and if somebody could portray that on screen, and they make her look good too, because that would honestly be a tough one, because you've only ever seen that as an animated character.
True.
So
yeah, that's tricky.
Seeing it in live action as opposed to Rex, or honest to God, even when they made, what's his name from God, I'm so dumping it today, from Rogue One, Saw, yeah, like, it was so weird to see the jump between how he looked in the animated form and in the movie form. So yeah, it's a tough one to... When you have the characters you've seen on film already and they make them animated, you kind of shrug your shoulders at it, but if you're going the opposite way, you kind of got it in your head of that animated look. So when they go to a live action, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
I feel that way too. Like, have you seen? They're really doing a good job, maybe too good of a job, given the limited number. But they've got most of the Rebels crew in the 6-inch Black series now. They put out. Have they put out Hera? I want to say that if they haven't, they are soon, maybe.
I saw a couple of them. We were at Target the other day, and I was looking at the Kanan and a couple of the other ones.
They did Kanan. They got Sabine, Ahsoka. So And
I
looking
would
at those
grab
characters.
That one. Honestly, as somebody that doesn't collect those figures, I would grab an Ahsoka if I actually saw one at the store. But I guarantee you that thing's probably that's Rey times 2, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. You got to pick that thing up online.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking at the way they had to interpret those animated designs and try to make them lifelike so they could fit in with the rest of the range of the movie characters, it is kind of jarring. Like, especially, and frankly, I don't think the figure's that good, but Sabine is a perfect example of that, where to fit a helmet over a real person-sized head, and they give her this like skinny little female body, her helmet looks massive. It's like a Funko Pop or something. It's like, it works in animation because you can play with scale a little bit, but when you get into like realistic proportions, that is a funny looking character. She's got problems. Boba Fett never looked that bad for some reason. Right. And they did a great job with Django, so I don't know why the Sabine character looks so weird with this big bucket head, but yeah, trying to go from animated to reality is so much harder than going from reality to animated.
It looks like one of those goofy Judge Dredd egg helmets.
Dude, it does! It does! It is so bad! It is so bad.
And not even the original Judge Dredd, the goofy one they made like 2 years ago.
Oh, the Carl Urban one? Yeah, where they hyped it up.
That was awful.
Great movie, though.
Really?
We don't need a plot. We just need slow motion blood. And buckets of it. Which is actually pretty true to the comic from what I understand. I never read it, but that's the reputation it had. So that was cool. But yeah, going from animated to real style is kind of difficult. The Rebels stuff, it's okay. Well, let's get into the show a little bit here. We were talking about Rebels, and that's where I wanted to pick up actually, because next week begins the second half of season 3. So be prepared to have some more episodes bumped off your DVR.
Oh yeah.
So you know that Saw made his appearance right before the break,
right,
with Ghost of Geonosis.
The big things were Saw and the whole Darksaber thing with Sabine.
Yeah, did you see those episodes?
No, I still haven't watched them yet, but I heard, like, God, the social media was blow up on that thing, so I know I got to check at least those episodes out, because apparently they were really good. Yeah,
I feel like I've got to especially rewatch the Saw Gerrera episodes. It was a 2-parter, so they call it episodes, but they put it out all at once. So I guess in future syndication they could technically break it up, but they didn't for this release. And yeah, they can say whatever they want, but I think privately behind closed doors, there was never any intention of making Saw Gerrera from the Clone Wars into the guy in Rogue One. I think they decided they wanted some connective tissue there for fan service and just plucked him out of obscurity.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that online too, and it was just kind of... It almost seems like they want to forget about the fact that he was in Clone Wars, and they're just like, yeah, it's Rogue One, but now he's in Rebels. Like, yeah, well, it's Clone Wars.
Yeah, yeah, they pulled some personality traits, but the fact that he had green eyes in Clone Wars, and now he's got brown eyes...
That was his twin brother. It was him. He spelled his name with 2 W's.
That was C. Gerrera. See, this is Saw Gerrera.
He had a hyphen in his name and a silent H. It's not the same character.
But they've got a lot of explaining to do, actually, because you at least saw the animated the model of the character for Rebels, right? And they did a great job making him look like Forrest Whitaker. That bears no resemblance to the character from Clone Wars.
Right.
And I get that they're different art styles and time has passed, but good Lord, man, like there is very little connective tissue there. And he's in the Rebels episode, he's still a whole person and has no breathing mask. So whatever like turned him all grizzled and crazy and took both of his legs, it happens in the 2 years between this episode of Rebels and Rogue One. Like, I hope they revisit that at some point, because I want to see that dude get his legs chopped off.
Yeah, right?
Like, he's basically like the... We used to think that Grievous was the ghetto version of Darth Vader. But really, it's Saw. Dude's missing limbs. He's got a breathing mask. Kind of crazy. I think that's pretty close to the Dark Lord of the Sith, don't you?
Yeah, pretty close.
So, yeah, they got to pick that storyline up again, and... Knowing the story group, they probably got that ready to go. They're just waiting for the right dramatic moment to tell that story. But I don't know. Saw Gerrera is a weird character in general because they are They are super focused on him now. Another release coming out this year is, excuse me, JT's not the only one dealing with a bug this week. Mine's just a little bit more progressed than his is. There's a couple book releases coming out to support Rogue One. One of which is Rebels Rising. Have you heard about that yet?
No.
Okay, so it's the story of Jyn Erso while she was with Saw and his group.
Okay.
So
I guess I can see that from watching the movie. You kind of, now that just the second you mention that, you kind of sit there and go, yeah, I guess that's kind of a plot hole in that movie right there of what the hell happened in that time frame. Mm-hmm. But at the same point, it's not something that you want to drag Jyn Erso into 3 movies to explain it or anything like that.
Exactly. They go into more detail in the Rogue One novelization, and they talk somewhat about at least her feelings towards Saw, not so much about everything that she did in her time with him, but it at least, and in narrative form, you get to tell a lot more plot details than can be conveyed on screen. In screen, all you get is he pulls her up out of the hiding place on Lamu, and then that's the last you see of him until he shows up on Jeddah. But in between that time, she was with him for a good 10 years or so. So she had a long time spent in his company and got trained up by him and did all that stuff. And again, I got the plot synopsis here for the book. They're really digging into the Saw Gerrera character so much. Let me read it to you here. Okay. When Jyn Erso was 5 years old, her mother was murdered and her father taken from her to serve the Empire. But despite the loss of her parents, she is not completely alone. Saw Gerrera, a man willing to go to any extremes necessary in order to resist Imperial tyranny, takes her in as his own and gives her not only a home, but all the abilities and resources she needs to become a rebel herself. Jyn dedicates herself to the cause, and the man. But fighting alongside Saw and his people brings with it danger and the question of just how far Jyn is willing to go as one of Saw's soldiers. When she faces an unthinkable betrayal that shatters her world, Jyn will have to pull the pieces of herself back together and figure out what she truly believes in and who she can really trust.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? No, good synopsis.
Yeah.
But we've already had Catalyst.
Yeah.
Rogue One, Ghosts of Geonosis, and now this Rebels Rising book, all focusing on Saw.
Yeah.
Like, they pulled this guy out of obscurity. He was a background character in one season arc of Clone Wars. And now he's connected to all these important people. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even stop there, actually. He's also mentioned in the summary for another book coming out this year. Oh. And this one I'm so stoked for, though. They're putting out a Chase and Barrett book. Chase and Barrett? Baze and Jarrett book. had one too many at Beer Fest last weekend, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, yeah, they're putting out a Baze and Jarrett book called Guardians of the Wills. And even in that, they talk about those two crossing paths with Saw Gerrera. Which kind of makes sense because they are all on Jeddah.
Yeah.
But, again, how many places does Saw Gerrera have to show up in? I would expect, if anything, that Jyn Erso would have been the big focal point, or maybe Cassian. Because as a rebel, he's instantly got a tie to all of our famous movie characters like Mon Mothma and,
right.
Dodonna and all these people from Episode 4 and in the Rebels cartoon. But no, they're making Saw Gerrera out to be like the most important character of last year and this year in all of Star Wars storytelling.
Maybe one of them is that twin brother we were talking about with the Silent H.
Oh, that'd be great.
One of them is the Saw with the green eyes, and one of them is the one that we know from Rogue One.
They're all crazy anyway, so maybe the entire group was made up of only twins, and Two Tubes and whatever his brother's called. They're the only ones that are left.
That's why the one had the breathing help and one didn't, because one was obviously the healthy and one was the
right. They keep getting picked
twin
off.
That was cut off.
Well, like the Bib Fortuna's cousin is there. Maybe that's actually his twin. You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I don't know, man. I don't know. I like Saw Gerrera as a concept, but do we need so many stories focusing on him when you've got all these characters that you could be telling stories about? I mean, you saw the movie. Did you really look at Saw Gerrera and go, man, I need 5 more stories with that guy?
No, not a chance.
Yeah, I never
honestly, everything we saw about him I was pretty okay with what his character was in Rogue One. Maybe go back a little bit, because he didn't seem to do all that much except stare at the dust cloud. But honestly, I kind of didn't really look at him as any type of main character. The whole thing was supposed to be centered around Cassian and Jyn and the Death Star plans, so I never looked at Saw as a main, air quotes, main type character in that movie. It's you compare that to the other Disney film, looking at Episode 7, you can see Finn and see Poe as a potential main kind of character in their own right, but I don't see that out of Saw Gerrera, though, so it's kind of odd that there's so much of him going out there right now.
Yeah, and he really takes center stage in the Baze and Chirrut book, too. I got that synopsis.
Book?
The Chase and Barrett book,
yeah.
Yep. Hey, Cheese and Barrett, I love it.
All right.
That's their
copyrighted.
That's their drunken twins right there.
Yeah, copyright it. We can spoof it.
Beer and Cheez-Its. I want a Beer and Cheez-It book.
I'll get Gwen. Gwen's the artist. I'll get her to draw the character design.
Oh, I love it. Could you do that?
They'll kind of look like Japanese anime anthro kind of things, but I'm sure I could get her to twist it a little bit.
Dude, could she do that? Could she take this cover art from the book and make a Beer and Cheez-It character that looks like these two? That would be awesome.
Possible.
Oh, I would love that. Now I'm just looking
that'll be our second T-shirt.
Heck yeah!
The Cheese and Beer.
Dude, I'm just looking at the cover art at Baze here, and I'm thinking, man, what if that was a keg on his back? That'd be great. Screw a power generator for ammunition. What if he's bringing the party? He's got the big vertical stack. Maybe that's just full of red Solo cups. He's pouring on the go, man. I'm liking this.
Right? You can have one of those little beer helmets instead of the breathing apparatus. He's just taking swigs out of the keg that's on his back.
Hell, maybe that's my story about John's vapor rub machine or whatever.
Right?
Maybe he's huffing vapors off of vodka or something. Oh, do it!
He's a hipster. He's vaping with that thing that's on his.
Yes, this is teak and wormwood I've got in here tonight, with a slight hint of chamomile just for some sweetness in there. Would you like some? Okay, more for me.
Oh. I almost cussed. All right.
That's okay. We can actually edit this. We got a couple days.
All right.
Yeah, so this Guardians of the Wills book, again, let's get into the synopsis here. Baze and Chirrut used to be Guardians of the Wills. No duh. Who looked after the Kyber Temple on Jeddah and all those who worshipped there. Then the Empire came and took over the planet. The temple was destroyed and the people scattered. Now Baze and Chirrut do what they can to resist the Empire and protect the people of Jeddah. But it never seems to be enough. When a man named Saw Gerrera arrives with grand plans to take down the Empire, it seems like the perfect way for Baze and Chirrut to make a real difference and help the people of Jeddah. But will it come at too great a cost? Dun dun dun. Again, Saw Gerrera is right in the middle of the plot.
I think I need to can that and save it. Sound effects from now on.
But yeah, what are they doing here with this Saw Gerrera dude being at the center of all these stories?
Yeah.
Can you tell a Rogue One-ish story without having Saw Gerrera be right in the middle of it?
You would think. I mean, apparently not, but you would think.
I feel like Saw Gerrera is the Tarkin of Rogue One. Tarkin made a huge impact in A New Hope, even though he was barely present. And then later they decided to flesh out his character with a backstory and all these other ancillary adventures to make him a more fully realized character. And that's what they're doing with Saw. Like, Saw was a nobody, and now they're like, well, you don't think he mattered, but boy, have we got a bunch of stories to tell you. He was super important before that movie that he died in very quickly. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
At least it gives us something to look forward to book-wise, because the next book release, I believe chronologically, the next book release coming out is the third chapter of the Aftermath series. And that is at the end of this month. Might actually be next week now that I think about it. It's called Empire's End, so spoiler alert there. This, I got to tell you, I try to keep up on the book releases because they don't come out at too crazy a pace, and now that it all counts, it's kind of fun to get little nuggets and things thrown into the story. But I got to tell you, this is one that I'm not really looking forward to. We covered a little bit of the previous Aftermath books on the show a while back. That's where we got the therapy Ewok from.
Right.
And the continuing adventures of Malakili, the Rancor Keeper.
Forest Trees.
Forest Trees, yes. Yes, we got that as well. So
that all came from there.
I think the biggest, and I'm trying to keep my book straight here before I speak out of turn here, but I think the biggest, most important thing to come out of the last Aftermath book was that Palpatine had something going on Jakku. Don't know what it was. He plucked somebody out of obscurity, and I don't know if he paid him or promised him a life of fame and fortune or something, but got him to preside over or dig up something on Jeddah. They kept it very mysterious, but
could it have been Saw Gerrera?
Wait, I kept saying Jeddah. I meant Jakku. Sorry, yeah, Saw Gerrera was on Jakku, everybody. Right. Yeah, no, so these books, they don't... At first, they're just weird. Like I said, you got therapy Ewoks and stuff like that. And the main story, like, I got to go back and listen to the second one again because I don't really remember. I think they were hunting down remnants of the Empire because there's still pockets of holdouts who refuse to give up. And then I know that Han Solo disappeared? Yeah, Han Solo disappeared. And the characters from the first book, who were, at this time had pretty much banded together to hunt down these, basically like they're like a strike force. They go in how the FBI always has the top 10 most wanted, all that kind of stuff. Or the CIA. Is it CIA that does like terrorists? Like international threats and stuff? Yeah. So that's basically their job, is they go and they take down, they capture all these Imperial remnants. They're assigned by personal request from Leia to go find Han Solo. And they do and rescue him. And then at the end of the book, he flies off to and ends up liberating Kashyyyk from the Imperials with Chewbacca. So that's the big turn in the second of the three books, is freeing Kashyyyk and Chewbacca as a result from the Imperials. So I guess the third book is going to cover the rest of the Imperials surrendering?
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, it's got stuff like there's an old refurbished, kind of murderous actually. Imagine like K2SO with no restraint whatsoever.
All right.
Like he'll just like beat the crap out of anyone or anything. He's like fiercely loyal to his master at this point. And he's got all these like weird weapons grafted onto his body now, but he's just an old battle droid. He's called Mr. Bones. Kind of weird. Yeah.
I was off topic. I was reading this story about how they were talking about the originally making K2 a Imperial Protocol droid. And then you think about how that movie turned out, and if you're like, okay, replace K2 with a black C-3PO, and that whole character makes no sense for the movie anymore at that point. Like, how horrible would that have been? Because that's what it would have been.
Oh, my God.
I mean, think about the Lego kits that we got the random white and red, and you're just like, it's a different color 3PO, because that's all they're known as.
Right.
So we would have had, the whole time we would have been, we got Jyn Erso, we got this guy, we got Saw Gerrera, we got Black C-3PO. Like, whoop-de-doo, let's go watch the movie.
Right. I would have just called him B-3PO. B for Black.
Yeah.
Black 3PO. There you go.
Yeah, that would have been horrible if they would have made him a Imperial protocol droid like that.
Hey, whatever happened to the black astromech droid? Remember they did the droid reveal and they showed K2SO and a black astromech?
Yeah, I think they even made some Black series of it.
They might have. I mean, they probably did. But I think he went the way of Constable Zuvio. He just got cut from the movie after they already hyped him.
Constable Zuvio. I really hope he makes a big appearance in Episode 8.
Just comes out of nowhere on Jakku. I'm back, bitches!
The greatest FU to Star Wars fans. I'll wait for you to quit drinking. The greatest FU to Star Wars fans. Hey, it's Constable Zuvio. Sounds exactly like Jar Jar. Misa here, everybody! Oh, God!
Oh, come on!
There's a dozen people just throw their popcorn on the floor and walk out of the rest of Episode 8.
Oh, man.
Myself included, before I walk back in because I paid money for the ticket.
Right? Hopefully he's guarding the Force tree.
He's got 2 pet Ewoks and a little Force tree.
Hey, the books are canon. Aftermath is canon. So now, as Finn is recovering from his lightsaber wounds, he can have some therapy Ewoks.
Yeah.
That'd be a great way to reintroduce Wicket, actually. I'd be okay with that.
He's got a little Force tree. It's a little in like his little bonsai garden. He's got the little rake. Taking care of his teeny tiny Force tree.
It's actually got a little... It's like, well, keeping the Oriental theme, they've got a little rock garden, surrounding it. And that's actually the litter box for the Ewok.
Oh, okay.
He just goes in there and buries them.
Multiple purposes. I like it.
Spruce up the place. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the rake's for. You just cover the little Ewok poos.
You think maybe that hovering chair that Yoda was using in the Jedi Temple was actually a litter box?
It could have been.
Like, he's just dropping a deuce walking down the hallway with Mace and Obi-Wan.
So, about this General Grievous.
There.
Oh, he's a true there are.
Wow, this one deteriorated quickly.
And I'd say we need JT here to keep us on topic, but that never happens. He's usually the one skewing us off. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we got Aftermath coming up, and that'll finish that out. So I guess we'll see whatever nefarious plan Palpatine had as his last gambit waiting on Jakku.
Right.
So maybe that'll be interesting. I don't know. The second book is better than the first, but it's still pretty bad. Sorry. I know we're supposed to like all this stuff, but not all books.
It happens. I mean, face it.
Yeah, overall, the books that directly tie into any of the movie properties tend to be pretty solid.
Right.
The ones that are just trying to be standalone stories, I don't really feel like in a lot of cases the quality is picked up over the old Legends stuff. Like Ahsoka was apparently made off of unproduced scripts from the Clone Wars, at least in part.
Yeah, I thought I heard something when they were doing the panel at Celebration last year that they mentioned that some of it was just shoehorned stories that they never got to tell because Clone Wars got axed before they could do any of it.
Yeah, and it got her character to a good point to lead into Rebels, so it served its purpose, but overall, it wasn't a very necessary story.
Right.
Once again, it was one main character that people wanted to hear about, and a bunch of disposable, forgettable ones being caught in the plot as the main character's story moved along, basically.
Yeah. And that's the sad thing of like a quantity over quality type thing when they're probably getting bombarded with stuff constantly about wanting to hear about Jyn or Ahsoka or Luke or Rey, and then you go, well, crap, we gotta give the people what they want. Let's just do this. and you just get 1,000 throwaway characters because you need to progress their story just to basically shut people up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ahsoka's whole time spent in this book was hiding the fact that she knows how to use the Force, trying to do Jedi-ish things without exposing herself, and